Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Market conditions remaining bullish in this bull market. We've had a decent retracement yesterday. We'll look at a chart and go over really how much more we could retrace, or at least a couple of levels to focus on. We did see in the shorter term, I'll just move right down here. We saw momentum slide back into the buy zone. Breadth is not quite there. Sentiment also did the same. So that was a pretty constructive move yesterday, but we are still at the upper range on all of these indicators up in these areas. And historically on these indicators, they just don't stay there. And that's probably not going to change going forward. When we have markets that are towards the upper end of the range or the lower end of the range and they meet these extremes, they just can't go any higher, at least without some kind of a pause or retracement. Before they can refresh, build new demand, and start to move higher. We're seeing that at the upper range here. We've got all of the indicators moving higher. And one more push higher, if we can get momentum back up above breadth at these levels, that can also create some indication of reversal location. The other confirmation indicator that we want to focus on is our buy-sell ratio. This is a really solid indicator when we're looking at expansion of bullishness or bearishness. When we just start to get wide like this, those are areas where we can start to see some reversal, and the upside just becomes really muted historically. And I go through this chart almost every morning because I want you to see that this just doesn't change. We're not going to see a spike in this that goes up higher. It's starting to top out at an area where it traditionally does top out, and it can't move any higher from here because there are no more stocks in the database to go any higher. There are a few, but that's the whole point here. You can see the number of stocks that are in sales. This doesn't take into account stocks that are in hold. So there could be, we could get one more upside and have some stocks that are on the fence that are in that hold bump over into that buy zone and ultimately move higher, but those are just going to be a handful. It's not going to be a lot. Sentiment also at the upper end of that range, and we saw a few cracks in a couple of the sectors yesterday. Let's take a look at that. First, I want to take a look at bonds, though, and see what happened yesterday. So you can see across the board markets yesterday down 1.5%, Russell down a little bit more, and if we take a look to see what bonds actually did, bonds actually moved a little bit higher. And so interest rates, inflation, those are still some of the key factors. And any discussion or any talk or any hint from the Fed or even market pundits talking about what the Fed is doing and how they're progressing is going to be listened to, because we're dealing with that really effectively in the economy, or we're dealing with that significantly, I should say. So bonds looking a little bit, they're actually looking pretty good after yesterday. We'll see if they can break out above this zone right here, this $99 zone. It's a pretty significant resistance area, and that we could run into here. I've talked about that yesterday. If we can close significantly above that and stay above that line and just create some support inside of this next zone, we could see markets at least stabilize. I doubt they're going to continue significantly higher from these levels, because they just need a pullback or a retracement. And we've talked about this level as well. So now we have a solid swing high in place. We retraced a little bit yesterday. There is a little bit of support right here now inside of this smaller zone. We could see some bouncing up in this range. Ultimately, potentially to retest this 460. If we could get a pullback and retest this area now, that would be actually really solid for the market to create a new base, allow this momentum to slide back into the buy zone, and give us some fuel for the upside. We'll see how that pans out, and if this sell-off was actually a really big buying opportunity for market participants to jump back in. We'll see if that is the case here. We also look at sectors where we've got a few breaks in some short-term trends. Transportation, we saw that all of those were green the last 4, 5, 6 days. We're starting to see some shift now. Again, that's common at these levels. As far as commodities, let's take a quick look there and see what gold has been doing. Gold still holding that upper momentum location, which is a solid trend location for gold. USO, or the oil ETF, is what this is here, is just finding a lot of support now at this area. We'll see if it can continue to do that. We've got a support range sitting right here now, and attempting this upper level. So now we're inside of this zone, this retracement zone, solidly clearing out of this area and now working our way back towards the upside. So oil potential bottom here. Those are some opportunities to be looking at with some oil stocks as well. The new buy list looking good here. If we go into the 6-month time frame, I'm going to switch this over. Most of the charts, though, that had new signals had that hard fade. We saw that happen about midday yesterday, where we started just to see that sell-off happening. And so a lot of these new buy signals have that topping wick or that topping tail bar, and we'll see if we get any follow-through on those today. Let me just change this over, and I'm going to refresh this really quickly, and let's change this over to our new buy signal, and there we go. IMNM, say that 10 times. A bounce here off of the 618, nice confirmation rally. Signal back up above a support zone, not quite up into the momentum zone yet, but a lot of support inside of this range for that stock. Now's a good opportunity to build out additional stocks for your watch list. As things are improving or as things are declining, there's still going to be opportunities in the stock picking world, looking for just individual stocks that are working, whether or not the market is going up or down or not. There's still going to be some good stocks to be considering here. That'll do it for today's update. If you don't have full access to the software, you can sign up with the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a fantastic day today.